you had posted a few things on your personal page and on the OMD page, and like after that, there's, I don't know, 20 people got on there and left great reviews.
Funny thing was, when he left that 3-star review, it just dropped us down to a 4.9.
Right.
And so I was like, if enough people leave a review, it'll pop us back up to a 5-star, which no rescue has 5 stars. So I kind of hold on to that tightly. I want to keep it as long as we can. I know we won't be able to forever. You can't make everybody happy. But hilarious. Had he just given me a 1-star review, it probably would have dropped us down and like hurt me more, but he gave me a 3-star and he called me nice.
Oh my dog. Dog. Oh my dog.
Oh my dog, hey.
Oh my dog, hello.
We're back.
Back again.
We have been very busy.
Very busy.
Yes.
A little under the weather, but powering through.
Yes. Well, I think the entire world is dying of some sort of plague.
What's going on?
It's really awful. I felt like a twinge of like sort of getting sick. I went to bed early one night and feel like it helped a little maybe, but and you've been trying to sleep it off too.
I went to bed for 3 days.
Yeah.
And by, day 2.5-ish, I feel fine. I'm getting ready to go on my trip, and I don't want to be sick, and I'm trying to thwart it off with lots and lots of rest.
Yes.
Which sometimes your body just needs it. So
it's true. But anyway, we're neither of us ill enough to stop the dog rescue hustle because we've been freaking busy.
Crazy busy.
So I think really our intakes are a majority of what we're going to talk about today. So I don't know how we want to do that, if we want to kind of go through everybody but the bunch or...
Yeah, well, let's just talk about last night really quick.
Yeah.
We had our foster appreciation dinner last night with our volunteers at Hi-Fi Lounge in Des Moines. They did a great job.
So fun.
We had a great time.
Yeah. We have just the best group of volunteers, and they're so they're as invested as we are, which is why this is all working so well. Yep. They're awesome.
There's no way we could do this without them being all in and stepping in to help out and being able to trust them and empower them with the right tools. And
yeah,
I mean, it takes a lot of work to make it work, but
yeah,
you got to have the manpower behind you. So we try to do, well, this is our second year, so we have done every year.
And like
2 years in a row
until
now.
we get too big that we can't afford this one night a year, we like to spoil them and get to all have dinner together and drinks and just hang out for a couple of hours. And the cool thing is that a majority of what we do in like our communication and relationship is all online. And except for like when we have these occasional things. So there's sometimes we'll get there and we'll be like, oh shoot, like who's that again?
I'm like pulling Kara aside. I'm like, who is the girl in the blah, blah, blah. And she's like, I know her name. Hang on.
Had to look in my recent text messages because like you know who these people are by their name and like their one profile picture, but then when you see them in real life, it's a little
Sometimes it takes a second to connect the dots, which makes you feel like an asshole, but it's not personal.
No. It's just a lot of people and dogs and faces to manage in your brain.
I do think we might somehow move it to a more appropriate time of year, because if it's not the weather, it's the sickness, because I think we counted on, quite a few more people being there last night that couldn't be there because of the sickness. And last year we had to delay it because of the weather. So we're going to start doing quarterly meetups that are just going to be a little more casual and smaller in nature, and just kind of invite.
Although I think there was more people there than you thought, because I went through the list of like who had RSVP'd and actually marked like who came and who didn't. And then a lot of those people had brought like someone with them. So I think we probably had 50 people, like what we were thinking.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
but yeah, it was.
There were a few faces there that weren't there that I was like, oh man, I wish they could have made it. But
yeah, for sure. But nonetheless, it was a great time. We had a hoot.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So if you'd like to be invited to our foster appreciation, or I guess we should call it the volunteer appreciation dinner.
Yeah.
Volunteer.
Do some stuff. And we will reward you with a grand party. in the beautiful month of February.
Good food, good cocktails, decent entertainment. We had a really cool selfie photo station,
Yeah,
photo
it's like
booth or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I don't want to know if there was a filter on those photos, but we all looked really good in our pictures.
Well,
and I think it was because of the lighting.
The ring light, yeah, for sure.
But they were all awesome, like really fun. That was fun.
Immediate new profile picture. I only update my profile picture like twice a year. So it's always this event and usually the gala. But.
Well, I found out when I updated my profile picture the other day, because I have that creator account or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I have to literally take a picture of my ID every time I want to change my profile picture.
Jesus.
Because otherwise I could be like some scammer that has like taken over my page. So it's like to make sure that I'm real. So now I'm just it's going to be me and Bojangles' picture for a really long time until I like actually want to go through that process again.
Well, yeah, we did have quite a few intakes starting at the top.
Yes. So Grady, this was a really special thing that I like to be able to help with this type of release. So essentially a sister of a man who lives in Des Moines, she was from Colorado, was flying down to come pick up her brother and take him back home with her because he has stage 4 cancer, and he's not doing well. And so he had this little dog that she's like, I can't take on, caring for him plus this dog plus my dogs plus whatever else. So she researched and she actually found our podcast.
Nice.
And she listened to a few episodes and she was like, I feel like I like these girls. This is it. So then she
I wonder which episode she listened to.
Who can say? She said
Must have been the early ones.
I don't know. She said she liked our honesty and everything, and that we were clearly passionate about this. And I was like, well, I guess those things are true.
Yeah.
But she's really sweet and has been checking in, and so I actually, off the top of my head, I'd have to look back to see what the dog's name was originally. Oh, it was like a name Grady is what we named him. His name was Candelo before. But anyhow, she's been lovely. She made a donation towards his care, which was really nice. And she was really thrilled to find out. I'll skip ahead to say that he was adopted yesterday.
Yep.
So he was
mini golden doodle, super cute. Post a wonderful groom.
Yeah. He came in and he was looking pretty scruffy because obviously brother hasn't been feeling very well and didn't keep up with the grooming. And when he popped out of the grooming salon, I was like, geez, it's a whole different dog.
Whole new dog.
He was so cute. But anyway, he's
what a difference a haircut can make.
It does. Well, what we're going to talk about today, I guess we'll tease it right now. We had a chunk of
3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Is this the 7? Because we had the other 2 before this.
Okay.
Yeah, so we had teased about that we might be getting to have the opportunity to go into what was Paris Puppies Paradise.
Terrible name.
Awful. And an awful situation. Yeah, bad people. So anyway, they had this kind of infamous doodle breeding facility that has been tried to be shut down multiple times. We thought we'd shut it down the last time we went there.
And took 11 dogs.
Took 11 dogs, one of which who was pregnant. And then we start immediately getting intel that they had hidden dogs and there was more happening and they were still having puppies and still selling puppies. Mm-hmm. And so anyhow, we were reached out to by the family or a contact of the family and then eventually directly by his brothers of the owner because he got caught for
the registered breeder, mm-hmm. Joel Paris, when the ARL went in and took those 150 dogs back, it's been almost 2 years now. Mm-hmm. They charged him with 3 counts of animal neglect and 1 count of animal neglect resulting in injury and or death. Mm-hmm. And when they sentenced him, it was like a year for each thing and 2 years for the resulting in death. So it was like 5 years total, which they deferred and put him on probation. And then...
But the rule was...
So then when he broke probation...
But he did that by freaking continuing to breed dogs.
Right.
What is wrong with you?
So when he broke probation, they automatically revert back to the original sentencing. So he, did not pass go, did not collect $200, went straight to jail. And so I get a call on the Pat phone one morning, and it's Boone County Sheriff. I'm like, oh. And I didn't know.
Well, I saw Boone County Sheriff pop up, and I sent her a message, and I was like, I know you answer this phone, but I'm just waiting for you to tell me why the sheriff is calling us.
And Joel had filled out the surrender papers from his jail cell, I guess, and power of attorney and everything. So that got sent over to us, and then we got in contact with the power of attorney, and which is his brother, and got that all set up finally.
Yeah. So we're going to dive into what that all looks like, what happened, what it took to take them in, what that was like. But to say all that to say, a lot of our intakes from the last 2 weeks were 7 of those dogs. Right. So we had Barry White, and interestingly enough, 2 of these dogs were dogs that we had taken the last time we went there. And part of the deal was that, yes, he could have 2 of these dogs back, but they had to be spayed or neutered. So we spayed, neutered them. We made sure that they were all up to date on everything. And then we returned them because they were supposed to be, his pets that he was going to keep inside.
Because by Iowa law, he could have up to 3 unaltered dogs, but the rest of them, he could have as many altered dogs as he wanted. And so these were the 3 that he wanted to keep, but he couldn't get them spayed or neutered in time for the cutoff.
Inspection in time. Yeah.
And so we took them, had them altered, and he was supposed to pay us for those, which he never did.
Weird.
And then return it to him begrudgingly. But
yeah, we did not want to do that.
It's kind of like something you had to do to get the rest of them.
Exactly.
Kind of deal.
And we were working directly with iDolls last time.
Yeah.
And so
we checked with him, Doug, to make sure if that was okay. And he's like, if you want to do that, you can do that.
If that's the deal with the devil you're making, fine. And so we did. But we got them both back now. So one of them is named Chansey. The other one was Hot Rod before, but now is Chunk Norris, because Hot Rod got fat. He was not fat when we had him before, but he got fat. CJ, Stevie Nicks, Weaver, Espresso were the rest of the group.
And it was kind of a mishmash of, they're all doodles, but there were 2 or 3 small ones.
Yep.
And then the rest were standard.
And then 1 giant boy.
But they were, and none of them were groomed. That's the whole meat of the episode.
Yeah, we'll talk about all of their.
What a freaking mess.
But the general public gets real jazzled when you get a herd of doodles in.
Holy crap. How many applications did we get? 50?
Like the first day, there was round. 24 within the first 24 hours. And it was funny because some of it was that multiple people applied for multiple doodles. They just wanted a doodle so bad.
Right. They're all so different.
It's not like you could look at the whole group and be like, that's the dog I'm looking for, because they all looked completely different. There was big speckly ones. There was tiny little brown ones. There was a Berenstein bear in there. Yeah, one of them was really sheddy and not doodly at all, and mostly looked like a retriever, but with this kind of tight, fluffy coat. So legitimately looked like a Berenstein bear. Hilarious.
Especially after they put that bow in her hair.
Yes.
At the grooming.
So cute. Yeah, that's Weaver. Yeah, she was really cute.
So I think most of them are adopted except for Espresso.
And Chunk Norris.
Yeah, those 2 are still.
And Barry White basically is, but she's dealing with someone who had to meet multiple doodles to decide which doodly was doodly enough for her. So I don't know.
Yeah, if you apply for multiple dogs, it's never first come, first serve. It's always best fit for the dog. So don't take it personally. It's just there's a lot of applicants, and
but if you really want,
the cookie crumbles.
It is truly easiest for us, and I don't know how other rescues feel about this, but if you just apply for the dog you want,
Yeah.
So, in fact, I don't know if we have this written in anywhere, but the other day there was a lady who wrote in, and she said, "Hey, every time I see a dog that I want on your site, it's gone immediately. And I applied, and I'm really interested in Espresso." And I said, "Okay, well, let me pass along, make sure that the Foster got your application."
This lady. And then she called the bat phone.
Yes, but I found later, after I'd already forwarded everything, and then I went to go look in the application list, she didn't apply for any of the doodles. In fact, she hasn't applied since 2023, at which time she applied for the dog name I don't know yet. So no, ma'am, we didn't know that you were interested in espresso.
Yeah, she called the bat phone. This was after she had emailed back and forth with you. Then she called the bat phone and left a message, and I called her back. And I asked her if she had submitted the application because I looked on our application.
Couldn't find it.
And I'm like, I don't have an application from you. She's like, well, I just sent a message through the contact me. I said, okay, well, you need to submit an application, and that will put you in touch with the foster family. And she's like, oh, well, I have it up right here. I just need to hit submit. I'm like,
then push it.
Okay, then let's go ahead and do that. And then she was asking, well, is it a standard poodle? I said, no, it's 20 pounds. You know, I thought from the grooming day, I thought it seemed about 20 pounds.
Yeah, it's pretty little.
And she's like, well, but is it a standard doodle then? Or I'm like,
no, it's 20 pounds.
No. Well,
like what kind of poodle
is it a toy poodle then? Or I'm like, okay. So did you submit your application? And I'll put you in touch with the foster family, and they'll be able to answer all of your questions.
She also
I'm not going down this rabbit hole, lady.
She also messaged the Facebook page and emailed and filled out the contact form, all of which times she asked what size the poodle was. And every time we said about 20 pounds. Like, what do you want from us? Like, I don't understand.
Bless her heart, though.
Yeah, you're not getting a doodle, though.
Yeah. Too little, too late.
Yeah, she was way behind the 8-ball on it all. So anyway, it was just funny. I was like, yeah, I applied, and I'm interested, and I really want to – somebody needs to contact me ASAP. I'm like, when did you apply? And then it was a different email address, so I found it by searching her name, 2023. You
what
people.
Oh, man.
Takes all kinds to make this world go round. Some of those kinds are missing brain cells.
These calls really jazz us up, jazz up our day.
It's really funny.
Then we had little Ernie.
Oh,
Ernie came in. He belonged to a man who ended up through a series of unfortunate circumstances, ended up homeless. And Ernie is about, 187 years old. So,
But probably one of the most matted coats that we've seen. It was really painful.
It was
him
really
to have
bad.
His groom. It was awful.
So
and Ernie also is a poodle, and I would say a toy poodle because he's small.
like 12 pounds.
Yeah.
His caseworker got in touch with us, with Natasha. Weird. And so then I met Natasha, and she said when I picked him up that he cries when you pick him up, that he seems painful in his front leg or whatever. I said, okay. So I got him home, and he was so good. He pottied outside. He'd go right out. I'd say, okay, let's go potty. He'd go right outside, and he'd mosey around the yard real slow. And I'm thinking he's just really old and whatever. And he did cry when I picked him up, but I would scoop him up, and then he seemed fine. Well, come to find out, he's spry as hell.
Oh yeah,
after we got
prancing all over the place,
all of the mats off of his groin area, which I'm sure were just pulling and tugging every time he took a step.
Yeah,
and especially when you pick him up,
and especially an older dog, that thin skin coupled with the like horrible matting. That poor boy.
His skin was so nasty.
Really angry. Ugh. But he's all cleaned up now, and he has lots of sweaters he's been wearing, and he's so cute.
So I brought him to the groom day, and we got him groomed, and then I had anticipated taking him home.
Yeah.
And then we have equally 187-year-old adopter.
So there's this wonderful lady by the name of Zona who years ago, when I got this huge group of Chihuahuas in, she's a client of my mom's at the barbershop, and she had been saying that she wanted to have a little dog. And so I said, Mom, I am so overwhelmed by all of these Chihuahuas. I don't know where they're all going to go. And this is back when we were with Fluffy Butts. I said, if you want Zona to come over and just take one before they even go into rescue, like, that's fine. Zona walks into the house. And so this was about 10 years ago. So she was approximately 80 years old. And she comes into the house, drops down on all fours and starts looking in every kennel to like see all the dogs. And then there's this one little dog that's kind of cowering in the back of his kennel and just hideous, like disgusting looking. And she's like, I like this one. And I was like, yeah, I mean, that's a really pretty color. It's like a blue, that's what they call like a blue long-haired Chihuahua. I'm like, he really needs a groom. And I said, do you want me to get him out of there for you? And she's like, no, I got it. She opens up the kennel, still on all fours in my living room on my hard floors, and reaches in, yanks him out. She named him Blue Chip, and she called him Chip. And that was Indigo, my little Chihuahua's dad, actually, out of the group.
Oh, my mic's not on. There it is. She did what when she reached into the kennel?
She yoinked him out of there.
Yoinked him out.
Yoink!
It was just like that. It was like a cartoon. And he lived a lot of wonderful years. And just a few years ago, actually like a year ago, she called us and said, Chip has been struggling with heart failure and he passed away. And, I'd really like to have another dog. And at this point,
She's 90.
she's 90 now. And I'm like,
Love
Mom.
that.
I'm like, Mom, I don't know. She goes, well, why don't you come over and, you can come meet her at her house and see where she lives and see how she does and see what you think, you know? And I said, well, I can. Okay. So I go over there and she's still just like doing cartwheels. Like this lady is wildly like, I think she's going to live to be 120 years old.
Love that.
She's incredible. So she took a breeder a breeder poodle from us named Sissy, who was small and very shy, and she got her potty trained. She took care of her. She took her to the vet.
Mike and Linda had fostered her.
Yeah. And she loved Sissy so much, but Sissy ended up dying again of old age.
Well, she was
she was old.
Equally old.
Yeah.
There's a theme here.
Yes.
There's a common thread in the story.
Yeah. So anyway, she died in under
Sissy
a year.
did.
Yeah, Sissy did. No, Zona's still kicking. I'm telling you, she's gonna live longer than all of us. And she called again, and she said, "Well, I went through everything with Sissy, and I really loved her, and my house is not okay without a dog in it." I'm like, "Well, first of all, this is me at 90 years old. But here we are sitting there with little Ernie, and I'm looking at Ernie, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna text my mom. So I text my mom, send a picture, and she goes, bring him over. I'm going to take a nap, and I'll be ready by 4 o'clock.
So there he went, straight from grooming to home.
So she's taking him to a vet appointment. Of course, he's got a heart murmur and a few other things going on, but he's 15 years old and doing great. He has not pottied once in the house. She takes him out on his leash every day. And
Somewhere I heard 18 years old.
Well, the paperwork, we were told 12 to 13 when we first worked to get him.
Yeah.
Then the paperwork that had his original rabies certificate on it said 15.
Oh, okay.
So I think that's probably right, but he could easily be 20. I don't know.
He's somewhere between there.
So anyhow.
He was such a cute little. After that groom, though, he was playing around. He was running around the salon. He was just
he shit
spry.
everywhere.
Yeah. Do what you gotta do.
Yeah. Well,
he probably feels 8 million times better.
So my mom, Zona, when she took him, she was like, I really want to take him, but I'm going to visit my daughter for a week and a half or whatever. So I don't know what I should do. I'm like, it's fine. We'll find someone to watch him while you're gone. So my mom just dropped him off this afternoon, and he is just prancing around the yard on his leash like he owns the place. Like he's full of it. So yeah. So that was kind of cool. That was a good one.
He was such a cute little kid. We've talked about this before, how you and I don't really do the adoption part of things anymore.
Never.
So I was like, oh, Ernie. Okay, bye.
See you later.
Actually kind of hoping to hang out with you for another day or two, but okay. Bye.
Yeah. So speaking of us not doing adoptions, I ended up with Rosita because her foster wasn't able to care for her, and
because of HOA bullshit.
Well, yeah, the second foster, but yeah. So I've had her for a few weeks now, and we got this application that was an app that was a leftover from somebody else, and blah blah blah. And the guy drove down hour and a half, and he brought his girlfriend, who was freaking cool. She knew what she was doing. She was doing training stuff with her. We spent an hour and a half in the small dog park at Paws and Pints letting her run. She did everything naughty that she should do naughty, right? Like she climbed the fence inside the park, of course, like the little smaller chain link fence to like get out to the door because there was a puppy over there and she wanted to see the puppy. And I was like, see, she can climb a fence. Can you see this? I'm not going to really belabor this whole thing because I kind of have already done that. But I got like big mad because this guy, I gave really specific instructions on how to integrate her into his home, and I know exactly what she needs, and I have literally been living with her, and I have quite literally taken her from not being able to be around my dogs to being able to run in the yard with them and be completely fine under supervision. And like, she is going to be fine. If somebody wants to adopt her who has another dog, they're going to have to listen to these instructions, but he just didn't. So he took her home that night. By 10 o'clock that morning, he sends me a text message that says, hey, do you think that I should have adopted a puppy instead? Because I think that 2 female dogs don't get along. And I was like, oh my God. I said, remember when I told you that they're not ready to meet yet and that you have to do a crate and rotate for a while so she can get used to the fact that that other dog is there and all of those really specific instructions that you have completely not followed? That. And he goes, okay, yeah, sure, fine, okay. Mm-hmm. The end of that day or at the beginning of the next day, I get these rapid fire text messages that he wants to return her. And I'm like, dude, everything you're telling me, he's like, they keep fighting. And I said,
why are they together?
Why are they together? I have told you, do not leave them together yet. They're not ready for that. And I told you how to make this work. And I know I brought another dog with me to her meet and greet, and they ran around in that yard and not have one issue. Like, she's fine if you know what you're doing. Or listen to someone that knows what they're doing. Or do what I tell you to do. You know that I know what I'm talking about. So he's like, no. I shouldn't have got a dog breed that I know nothing about. He has a Rottweiler. Like, it's the same thing. Like,
right. And the puppy that he wanted is the same breed as Rosita.
So it's like, oh, I don't want this adult dog. I decided I wanted a puppy, so I want to just swap. And I'm like, well, first of all, you're not swapping because you're an idiot. And so then he's like, am I going to get a full refund? And I said, per the adoption agreement that we went over together and that you signed, you will not be getting a refund. And he's like, oh, that's messed up and blah, blah, blah.
I should at least get half.
I should at least get half back. And at this point, I'm pissed off because he has not listened to anything I've said. And I don't get too riled up too quick, but I was hot. Right. And I'm like, it's over for you, buddy. So I said, if you want me to go into my own personal bank account and take money out to give to you, that's...
Which she would never do, by the way.
No, ever. I said, that'd be fine. Thinking like, no one's ever going to say, yeah, you volunteer that who does like not take a salary.
Hypothetical.
It was like a hypothetical, like, you're an idiot. I'm not giving you your money back. I said, your money's already spent.
And he took you up on it.
And he said, oh, yeah.
What an asshole.
He's like, yeah, I would like that refund, and I'll see you on Sunday when I come to bring her back. So
oh my God.
Sunday comes, and I'm really angry. So at this point, I have brought an attorney with me who is one of our volunteers, and he agrees that he's a contract attorney. So he agrees that he will stand in the parking lot and go over the contract that he signed with him word for word so that he can understand what he signed. The whole time the guy's like, she didn't say that I didn't get a refund. I was like,
don't need to say it. You
signed it right here. He goes, okay, well, is this your signature? And he's like, yes, this is my contract. I signed that. And he goes, could you read for me what it says behind your signature? And it says, no refund will be given for any dog returned to the rescue. And then he tries to start reading like random words out of the contract to try and make it like be on his side, right? Like the adopter does. Oh. And Caleb's like, no. So if we read this sentence in its entirety, it states that actually you could be liable.
I could just imagine Caleb.
I know. At first I got mad and I started to raise my voice, and then I realized like, no, I'm gonna take so I took Rosita, I put her in the truck, I'm back there petting her, and I'm just kind of hiding behind the door while he's doing this. And he goes, actually, if you read this sentence in its entirety, it actually states that you could be liable for more money because it does appear that she's injured from all of these dog fights, and now you're liable for that based on this line that you signed here, And he just keeps getting more and more mad and more and more mad, and so finally he hops and finally he says, okay, well, if I'm not going to get my money back, I want to keep the dog.
No.
And I said, oh, do you remember how I sent you that link to that surrender form that you filled out and signed? Had you read it, it would say, it would let you know that the dog is mine now. And also, it's in the back of my truck, so it's not, you're not taking her back. And not to mention, her face was all scarred up from fighting with this dog that she had been with for like 48 hours. You know, like, it wasn't a good situation. I would never have sent her back with him. But he's like, that's my property. I'm taking it back. I'm like, no, sorry, buddy. You're not.
The audacity.
He was awful.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I have given refunds back when things don't work out before, even though
it's on a case-by-case basis.
Usually we don't, because that's our policy. But occasionally it's like, you know what? I get it. It didn't work. It's fine.
Right.
We'll refund you. No problem. This, I was like, you're never seeing any money at all. And Caleb had $50 in his pocket that Stacy had sent with him and just said, like, if things get bad, just hand him this $50, honey. And he's like, and I said, do not hand him that $50 either. So also with me was Marcus, my husband, and then additionally, one of the dog bouncers at Paws and Pints showed up. And so I have these 3 grown men, myself, and little Rosita, who's all scarred up, you know, and we're just standing in this parking lot. It was like a whole, like, outsiders situation.
Mafia,
like a mafia
total
versus,
mafia
like, the
situation.
idiot. We were like the actual mafia.
Do you want to swim with the fishes? Let's have a
Yeah.
situation.
You want to fight with the dogs? You want to fight with the dogs, you know?
And then this guy goes on Google.
So no, then he says, I'm going to call my attorney. And I said,
let's do that.
I'm pretty sure
please.
you don't have an attorney. And if you do, no attorney is going to take on this case against a nonprofit that you signed a contract for $400. Like, go away. And then he goes on Google and he gave me 3 stars.
Yeah. 3 stars. It says, I adopted a dog and she wasn't getting along with my current dog. So I asked to return the adopted dog, which I did 3 to 4 days later without the understanding of not getting my money back. Foster parent was really nice, but should have known you shouldn't try to mix female dogs because CUZ, because they will fight for dominance.
Okay.
Foster parent later said she would refund me out of her own pocket, which I have text messages from her, but still haven't received. So I'm saying that people were nice. No punctuation.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that people were nice, but they didn't go over contract thoroughly with you. They just said initial here and there and then sign. Goes to
Which is, first of all, a lie, but
goes to show they want the dog gone and in a new house. So people, please be careful if you adopt from this rescue place. Seems like they will try and pull a fast one on you. Which immediately
like, you just outed yourself multiple times in that review alone.
So, you know, you had posted a few things on your personal page and on the OMD page, and like after that, there's, I don't know, 20 people got on there and left great reviews.
Funny thing was, when he left that 3-star review, it just dropped us down to a 4.9.
Right.
And so I was like, if enough people leave a review, it'll pop us back up to a 5-star, which no rescue has 5 stars. So I kind of hold on to that tightly. I want to keep it as long as we can. I know we won't be able to forever. You can't make everybody happy. But hilarious. Had he just given me a 1-star review, it probably would have dropped us down and like hurt me more, but he gave me a 3-star and he called me nice.
Oh man, this shit slays me.
I just don't understand.
I don't either.
He doesn't either.
He doesn't either. I don't think he can either read, you know, there's no reading happening there, which that's, you know, not going to rag on somebody for not being able to read, but when you sign a contract, you should probably ask someone to help you if you can't read. And I did go over it with him, and I said, I'm going to give you some time here to read through all of these points. And I said, I gave the high level.
I always stop and say, okay, now we need to do the paperwork. And I specifically stop everything.
I took him to a table aside, and I was like, yeah.
This is a legally binding contract. So if you need some time to look over this and read through it, I'd be happy to give you all the time in the world. I can get your stuff ready, whatever.
I did that,
and 9.9 times out of 10, they're like, yeah, no, it's fine. Cool.
Yep.
Sign
and
it.
most people don't read it, and that's fine.
But that's not on us.
No.
And we send them home with it. So.
Yes, and he brought it with him, and he returned it in the bag with all of her stuff. So I gave him a copy that I had printed out and highlighted the no refund part. Just handed it to him with the highlighting. So anyway, I usually don't like put things like out publicly if somebody pisses me off or whatever. But I don't, for whatever reason, I was like, I just need the public to be able to be with me on the insanity that this whole situation was.
Yeah.
And I also felt a lot of guilt because I shouldn't have sent her with him, but I really liked the girlfriend, and I thought if she's with him and like understands the training, like she was working with her and having her do sits, and she was having her take the treats softly, and she was having her drop the ball, and I was like, this is amazing. She's going to do exactly what I ask. Obviously, she wasn't calling the shots.
Or, I wonder if they don't live together.
I don't think they do live together. Yeah. No. But whatever.
Yeah, I talked to the guy on the bat phone for 2 minutes, and I'm like, nope.
Yeah. She already told me that she was like, this guy's an idiot. And I was like, well, I'm going to meet him and just see. And I really liked the girlfriend, so I was bamboozled.
I get it. Totally. Yeah. That's the difference between, there's where the whole, because I was like, I'm going to be a judgy bitch here. This guy's an idiot. And you're like, yeah, let's just give people a chance. I'm like, okay, like, you're probably right.
Now, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I think doing it all over again, I still, like, without knowing how it was going to end up, I wouldn't have changed my, decision. No. Like, I thought that it was going to be okay, and he seemed...
Sometimes shit just don't work out.
Yeah, it's okay, but...
This is the way that it gets handled that makes all the difference.
Yeah, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to put this on blast, and I don't care. It's an example for, like, the type of crap we deal with, just to give people an idea, I feel like, and whatever. So, anyway. Whew.
So, Rosita's back.
Yeah, she is back. I just took her to a new foster. We'll see how that works out. She does, she's a very active young dog, and so hopefully she does okay. They do listen when I speak to them, so I feel like she's going to be fine. But anyhow, we'll see how that works, and we'll find her a perfect home. We really will.
Yeah,
but she's a beautiful and really sweet and kind dog, so I really like her.
Then we had Devin.
Devin, that was interesting. So this family got a doodle.
Yeah. Supposed to be a service animal.
She was sent away to be trained to be a service alert dog for a diabetic child that they had.
Okay.
And part of this was that the dog was going to travel with them so that if the child had, a dip in whatever, then the dog would alert and then they would know. Well, the dog ended up having like the most severe car sickness and anxiety in the car that they couldn't take her with to do the job.
Kind of defeats the purpose.
Right. So they really needed a dog to do the job, and they tried it, and she was gone for like a year or so or more. So this dog is like 5 years old at this point, and it's essentially been a family pet, but they really need this service dog. So basically they were like, we have to rehome her, and we know she's really easily rehomed because she was completely obedience trained, wonderful dog,
right.
Just doesn't want to ride in the car and didn't want to alert properly. So she failed service dog school.
My only question on that one would have been, and maybe you did ask it, I don't know, if they had tried like Zofran, like an anti-nausea medication.
Oh, sure. I don't think that was the whole of it, though. I think also she was not very good at doing like the task.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what are you going to do?
Yeah. But then the other issue is like even if she was like a pet, they still travel and take their dog with them. So it wasn't working. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, good question.
And the only reason I ask is because we're actively
back.
pushing back on surrender. So,
yeah. But wonderful dog, and she's already adopted. She got adopted yesterday.
Yeah. Let's talk about Nutter Butter next, and then we'll come back.
Yeah. I didn't.
Nutter Butter came from another Natasha situation.
Darn it, Natasha! I didn't even understand what that whole thing was.
So, Natasha calls me, and I'm tanning for my cruise coming up, and she always calls me like right as I'm getting ready to go do something. And dog bless you, Natasha. Nothing on you. It's not your fault. But so I just popped my AirPods in.
We got in the tanning
thinking
bed.
that like this call is going to wrap up, but I'm on a time crunch. So like I'm going to go check in and, get in my room and all this stuff. And nope, we just keep talking. And she obviously doesn't know. She's going to know now, but I'm just totally talking to her, and I'm
naked in the
undressed,
tanning bed.
and I'm getting in the tanning bed. She might have heard the lady come on the tanning bed. You know how they talk to you. And I'm just standing there with my AirPods in, butt ass naked, talking to her. Oh, hilarious. No, something about over in Cedar Rapids or some college. There's a college swap.
Iowa City.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Apparently, when the nursing students go from year 2 to year 3 or year 1 to year 2 or whatever the hell it is, they have this pet swap day. I don't know.
That's what I didn't understand.
It was really bizarre to me. I'm like, only you would get into something like this. I said, don't go to that. We don't need that. She's like, I'm not gonna go. My daughter-in-law is going, or daughter, or somebody, whatever.
Yeah.
Some relation of hers was going, and I said, all right, well, let us know, I guess. I don't know. So out of that came a Cocker Spaniel poodle named Nutter Butter, who
has
ended up having like 8 million things wrong with it, but whatever.
He'll be fine, and he'll go to a home eventually, but like, he's an expensive swap.
Yeah, right? Swap for what? What did we get out of this?
We didn't get anything. I hope no one gave anything to get him, because we're bored.
So she's there. I don't know. This lady called about this Nutter Butter on the bat phone, and super nice lady, but obviously older and not tech savvy.
Sure.
And I'm like, she's telling me her entire life story. Like,
they always do.
The whole thing from the beginning. And then she said she just lost her dog, and she was looking for this size of dog. And I'm looking on our website like, no. And I'm like, well, we just got this Cocker Spaniel mix in. He's like 15 pounds or something like that. Mm-hmm. She goes, you have a cockapoo? And I said, yeah. She goes, that's the breed my dog was that just died. And she goes, what color is it? I said, well, it's blonde. And she goes, that's just what I had too. And I'm like, this is cool. Like,
yeah,
okay. This is like kismet. This is working out. And then I said, well, okay, you need to fill out the application. Like, are you going to be able to handle that? Or do you have someone that can help you? She goes, well, my daughter can do it. I said, do you want me to send the link to your daughter? Or are you going to see? She's like, well, she's sick right now. She goes, why don't you send me the link and I'll go to the library and maybe somebody there can help me fill it out. I'm like, oh, man.
Sweet Javis.
So I sent her the link and I sent her a screenshot of the dog, which she obviously is on a flip phone because she sends a message back saying she can only see the legs. And you respond back, click on the picture. So then I just sent her anyway.
Yeah.
Short story long. Then she proceeds to tell me she had brain surgery like 2 months ago. Had a brain tumor.
Good Lord.
And so if she repeats herself, that's why. And that came to fruition about 20 minutes later when she called me again. And we had the same conversation all over.
No.
Yes.
Oh, no.
So this poor woman. But in that conversation, she said, well, I don't want to offend you. I really hate to even ask, you know. I'm like, I know it's coming. Like, she goes, I have $200. And I'm like, oh,
no.
I'm sorry. Like, knowing all of not all of the health issues. Like, this dog has some health issues, but they're not, you know.
But there's going to be medical bills.
There's going to be medical bills. I'm like, I really don't think this is the right dog for you. But, you know, if you submit the application or if you need help with that, let us know and we'll find the right dog for you. But
yeah. Well, now that we're talking about Nutter Butter, should we read my favorite email of the week? That I know we pushed it to the next episode, but we're already talking about
which one?
Him.
Oh yes, do. Oh, that was so funny.
Okay, so we get this email.
This is so wild.
It says, hi, my name is whatever. I'm not going to out this horribly stupid person. But she says, I just submitted an application for Pan, but then I saw Nutter Butter and I fell in love. I live in Oskaloosa with my mom and partner and soon my sister as well. My dad passed away almost a year and a half ago, and both my sister and I think my mom could really benefit from having a little buddy. We would rather wait until June to officially adopt, but if we could reserve Nutter Butter and put down a deposit maybe, ? Let me know. Thank you, said name, smiley face emoji.
Oh my God.
Dear so-and-so, no.
Can you imagine?
Like, why?
It's February. That's all of February, March, April, May. That's at least 4 months from now.
So I just
Can you imagine? This isn't fucking layaway. Like, what are you going to send me? $25 a week? Or what?
So I sent a message and I said, no, you cannot reserve a rescue dog. Essentially, if you did that, then we would be not able to save multiple dogs during that time because that spot would be full. Like,
I mean,
Almost like
if we do one every 3 weeks on average, what is that? Like 4 times 4 is 16 divided by 3. Like I'm doing the beautiful mind math.
She's beautiful minding. At least half a dozen dogs are going to die because you want us to hold your dog till June for an unknown reason, in fact.
And you know, come June, that ain't going to happen, right? You know that ain't going to happen.
We would
right?
hold this dog, and in June...
Then she'd ask for a refund.
Yeah. Just remember that deposit I gave you? Well, because I didn't pick up my Nutter Butter, I would like that back. No. My God, no. Hilarious. People.
I think the Nutter Butter cookie might be better for you.
Well, Nutter Butters attract Nutter Butters,
Jesus.
I guess.
Hilarious. How freaking wild, though. We've had those calls before, similar calls where people are looking, they call and they say, hi, we're looking for a foster for our whatever. And I'm like, okay. And I get all the information, what kind of dog and whatever. And I just say, but the conversation always seems a little off.
Yeah.
And then it clicks and I'm like, okay, so just so we're all aware here, like we are going to rehome this dog and find it a new owner. And they're like, oh, no. We want the dog back. We just need someone to foster it for 2 or 3, 4 months. I'm like, no, what you need is boarding. That's not.
Or some sort of weird nonprofit that would never be able to like sustain itself. That's not us.
Right.
Like, if you're really in a bind and you need someone to watch your dog, I get it. Like, that's like an emergency thing.
Yeah,
but
we'll
like,
find that out. I mean, we'll figure that out for you.
No, we won't.
I mean, we'll
Not if they want
provide
their
them with
dog back.
resources.
I don't know what those
Point them
are.
in a direction.
I
A
guess.
boarding facility.
Where they pay for it. Yeah, there's no.
Oh,
It's a
Lord.
no. Oh, my gosh.
Hilarious.
Yeah, the last dog that we took in is the most expensive dog we've ever. I said this is the most expensive dog I've ever bought.
Just the way that this all happened
Yeah, please set the stage.
caught us at a weak moment. I blame fins.
Yeah, I blame a dive bar. For this.
After our salon day, which we'll dive into in a smidge, there happens to be
There's a bar in a strip mall.
bar in the same strip mall that the
Grooming salon.
grooming
yeah.
salon is in, and so we just popped over there while we were waiting for Ernie to get picked up
After Zona's nap.
after Zona's nap.
So really, this is Zona's nap's fault, but
Yeah.
whatever.
I should have just taken Ernie home, and we would be $8,000 ahead right now. So we're sitting there having cocktails, which if you've never had a cocktail at Finn's, make sure you order a Coke with your rum and Coke.
I watched her make my vodka soda, and it was in a short glass, and it was 99% vodka,
With a splash.
0.5% ice, and a splash of soda.
Which
And no
overflowed
lime.
out.
Yeah, I had to go back and get a lime to like try and cut it down.
Oh, God. So we're sitting there just, doing our thing, and one of the volunteers brought their naked dog
Hairless doggies.
that we got to touch. Ugh.
Solo Sweetly and her Chinese crested.
And we get this phone call. Was it a phone call? Yeah. Phone call from the
Nancy.
Nancy, my second mom.
Nancy is, she
runs Iowa Stars.
which Iowa Stars is a wonderful thing, but what Iowa Stars does is it looks for trouble.
Yeah, she does.
And then she hands it off to us.
She's like, hey, would you like a bag of dog shit that's flaming?
And you have to pay $8,000 for it?
They're like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
sounds
we
great.
would.
So we're a couple of these like literal flaming cocktails in, and we get this call, and I see the picture, and I am a sucker for a big mastiff with his big old fat head. And some other things were going on with that dog that like people were speaking up for it that we knew wouldn't be able to carry out like the actual care and payment for this dog, right? And I was like, this is going to get carried on. So essentially it's a 1-year-old mastiff who is being seen at an emergency vet for a really bad foreign body impaction. Mm-hmm. And it is crashing and needs emergency surgery now. Like they needed to wheel him into surgery or euthanize him. Those are the options. Otherwise healthy dog. And so I was like, Holly, we're doing this. And she's like, okay, whatever. And so I go outside and I, go get the credit card and give all the information and have them sign the paperwork. The owners sign the dog over to us. We give a $5,000 deposit, and by the time it's all said and done, we now have paid $8,000 towards saving this dog.
Oh, my God.
Which
I'm sitting there talking to Heaven, not Haven, right?
Oh, my God. See, in my head, I have to do
now
that.
it's all mixed up for me.
Yeah.
And,
Heaven.
You know, and I'm just like, hand over the card, and you run off and go outside and do all this, and I'm like, okay.
I don't know what's happening here.
I don't know what's going on, but that's cool.
Yeah, and then I come back and I was like, well, I think we just bought the world's most expensive Mastiff. And so we did that, and then the next day, surgery went fine. They had to do pretty major work because he had basically we'll call it two socks, one at the beginning and one at the end of his colon. The one at the beginning was stuck in like the top of it, and that's an area that you normally don't like cut into when you're doing surgery. You try to like push it down or whatever, but it was so stuck because in between all of that was a bunch of mulch. So I don't know. They got it all out. Yeah, they got it all out, and he's doing great. And all the while, one of the vet techs at the emergency vet also works for a local veterinarian. And she had reached out to her just saying like, hey, you know, we need to find somewhere for this dog to go. What do you think? And the veterinarian's husband said, hey, if, you know, that rescue needs help, we can foster it. So we got a new foster out of the deal who is a veterinarian, and she is lovely.
Love that.
Yes. And he's been doing great, and she named him Hagrid, which is apparently a Harry Potter reference.
Yes.
And I looked
Very fitting.
I looked up the picture, and he does look like Hagrid.
Very fitting.
Yeah. So he's doing awesome.
It gave me a Turner and Hooch vibes.
His head.
He's huge, man.
Like if I make my arms in a circle, I'm 5'9", so that's 5'9" worth of arms in a circle. That's his head size. He's huge.
But that dog, and that is a French Mastiff,
yes.
which is shorter.
Yeah, and this is an English Mastiff.
Right.
Yeah.
But still same big, slobbery, dopey
I mean,
looking.
his paws were like the size of my shoes. Like, they're huge.
What was his weight? Like 125?
125.
Yeah.
And I think he'll probably tap out closer to like 150, 160 once he's like fully grown, because he's just a year now. So, anyhow, he goes in next week for a checkup and his shots and everything, and then he'll be ready to go. And glad we saved him, but my Lanta, that was an expensive cocktail.
I had to have another cocktail just to
Well, yeah, we had to round it out after that.
handle that bill. Whoo! Yeah, so the most expensive rescue before this was a $6,000 dental on the broken jaw poodle or something.
Well, and then we had the heart dogs, but I don't think they were as much. It was like 5,000 something
yeah,
for
it was
them.
like 5. And Critter Crusaders did one of them.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
No, most expensive dog.
New
big
watermark. Please send donations to P.O. Box 33, Madrid, Iowa 50156.
For the love of dog.
We got bills,
We
y'all.
got bills. That credit card statement is just looming.
I know. I'm like, I'm going on this trip, and how much credit do I have? Can I get that bumped up a little bit? All right.
Yeah. So anyway, all right. Well, we'll zip through the adoptions with one being my favorite adoption of the last 12 months. But
yeah, well, we already talked about Ernie, Weaver, Stevie Nicks, CJ, Chansey, Grady. Crumpet and Otter were two poodles that came from Doodles that came from Paris Puppies the week before. Yeah. So it really was
they're
9
all part
total,
of that.
but they're all part of that. They all went. Sammy Davis Jr. was a Yorkie that came in and out super fast. Coral.
She came from that pit bull hoarding situation in Oklahoma. She was the only adult dog that we took.
Wonderful.
And she went to a nice home. Yeah.
Oreo, thank dog. That psychopath.
Yeah, so Oreo got moved to a new foster home, and they had like a game night or something at their house. Their friends came over, met Oreo, fell in love, applied, adopted him. Beautiful. And they spent a lot of time thinking about it. I think they're in, and it's going to be good. So
Leona, the Corgi Terror.
Yes,
finally
hates other dogs, has been waiting around for this adopter, and finally they came and were able to get her.
And Mr. Murado, third time's a charm.
Third adoption for him.
That lady looked just like him.
they look exactly alike. If this isn't it,
That's usually how you know it's.
I know. If this isn't it,
Okay.
prove me wrong on my theory that if you look like your dog, it's
She
meant
seemed to
be.
give no shits about the feistiness.
Yeah, she didn't care.
But most
Please.
important adoption of the week.
Oh, my Lanta, my Kaboomy got adopted. Kaboom!
Just today.
Just today. And Johnny and Tracy just spent so much time and love and care with him.
Those two.
They did it.
I wish they would adopt me.
Me too.
They're so nice.
They're the best. And
They really take their time. They did 3 meet and greets, which you were like,
I was like, my God.
Jesus.
I'm like, tell them to make up their mind already. Who thinks about something this long?
But with Kaboom, I
You
mean,
have
that
to-
was fair.
Yeah, they wanted to make
Because
sure.
they have other dogs,
Mhm.
and Boom is kind of a
Picky, yeah. But he just,
drama queen.
he likes to bark loud at other dogs, and it kind of freaks him out. But
But he's so fat. Like, what's he going to do?
nothing. He doesn't
Right?
do anything. Yeah.
He's all bark and no bite.
Exactly. So I hope this is it. But we were so excited.
Yeah, and I don't think they live too far from Johnny and
He
Tracy
said 1
either.
minute.
So I'm sure they'll see each other again.
Yes.
Love that.
That's amazing.
So
Okay.
that makes 13 in and 15 out. Whoop-de-doo.
Yeah, we like being ahead a little bit. So very good. Okay, well, that took about as long as we thought it would to make it through all that stuff. So we're gonna chitter through just a little bit about the whole Paris Puppies intake, which won't take us long. It was all pretty cut and dry, but there's a little bit of drama that
Tea.
that sifted in there.
Bullshit.
So we're gonna talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
I don't even know where to start.
well, we knew that this was coming pretty much since the last time that we took dogs from him and we heard that he was hiding dogs, right?
Yeah, there isn't much you can do about it unless you have proof that, X, Y, and Z. And even when you have proof of X, Y, and Z, then you get into the whole legal stuff, which is, frankly, I'm actually kind of impressed.
I can't believe that the Boone County Sheriff actually did it.
Yeah, well, and the county attorney.
Yeah.
Normally,
They
I
don't.
think it's Mike Spears. They followed through.
This is the first time
So kudos to them.
in a long time that I can remember an animal abuser, specifically a puppy mill owner, that got in trouble, went on probation, and actually they followed up to find out that they weren't following the rules, and then sent them to prison.
And that's IDALS. That's spearheaded by IDALS because I talked to Doug, and Doug talked to the inspector for that region, the gal that was heading all of that up. And so it's because of the work that she did.
Yeah.
But I had talked to her back in October, I believe it was, and given her some information that I had gotten secondhand. So I specifically said that. I said, listen,
There's a lot
you're
of
the
he
third
said, she
person
said, yeah.
down the line. So
Right.
take what you want. But
Yeah. Matt Spears, that's who the county
Matt
attorney
Spears,
is. Yeah.
thank you.
So anyway, there's all this hearsay. There's all this, oh, that might be happening. It might be happening. And then he goes to court.
Right.
And then they actually sentence him with prison time. And they actually take him to prison.
Right.
And we're like, holy shit.
Right.
Like, this is actually going to go down. But we still have to get the dog signed over to us. Just because he's gone doesn't mean that the dogs magically just drop into Rescue's lap,
No.
right?
No, he had to make that decision. I mean, he could have. I guess I don't know what his options would have been.
Yeah, I assume that
Because if somebody takes him over, I don't.
Yeah, he could have given them to another private party that wasn't a rescue and just been like, hey,
Right.
they're going to handle it or whatever. But
Yeah,
I
don't
think
know how
that
works.
yeah, I don't know how or why or whatever. But we did do a really great job the last time, and we played very nice the last time that we were there. And this time, 'twas the end. So we were connected. There was someone that was kind of playing
It was like
liaison a little
Yeah,
bit.
third party.
A third party. And then we were connected directly with his brother, who was all for us taking the dogs
Yes.
and wanted us to handle it and worked really hard to make sure power of attorney got switched to him, because previously it was with
Sarah.
a supposed ex-girlfriend. I don't if they
Right.
were either together or they weren't, but she had last power of attorney. So power of attorney was switched then to his biological brother, who we coordinated with the day that we were going to go out and actually get the dogs.
Get the dogs, yeah.
Which I in dog rescue, the number of times we actually get to go out and like put our slip leads across our shoulders and actually take dogs out of a situation is not very often.
Not very often.
But we like that.
It's usually absolute. I mean, it's disaster.
Usually it's bad.
It's like bad, respond now situations.
Mm-hmm. This we had a few days before we knew it was going to happen, but we knew we needed to do it quickly because Sarah, the girlfriend or ex-girlfriend or whatever, there was word that she was trying to give the dogs away to whoever.
I don't know if that's true.
And I don't know if it's true or not. But regardless, I don't really
care.
I don't either. But regardless, we
OMD does not participate in drama.
No, we just wanted to get out there and get the dogs. You know,
and it's like I don't care about all this other crap. Let's just get out there. Let's get the dogs in a timely manner. The thing about it is even though it's a shitty situation, like the dogs were safe. Like we've been out there before, and
they
facilities
had food, they had water. They were
they were not in danger. None of them needed medical attention, like
immediate.
Right? They were. Yeah. They were fine.
However,
Which in a lot of situations, they're not. Like the Paris 7, that was like...
Knoxville wasn't good.
Yeah. So...
Yeah. But I used to work at a swine genetics company, and so part of what my job was that I would go on site to these hog confinements, shower in with my camera, and go take pictures of these like beautiful pigs, you know, for the people that wanted to buy their genetics. This is stupid. And so I did that, and when we walked into that building where the dogs were, it smelled exactly like a hog confinement, which was wild to me. It didn't smell like dog. It smelled like hog confinement.
When we were out there last year, it was much cleaner then.
Mm-hmm. I wasn't there last time, so okay.
This time it was much more in a state of disarray. There was shit, kind of,
everywhere.
Not literal shit, but there was stuff, trash, and
piles of like dirty towels
everywhere, and like the washer was in some sort of loop, and it kept going on and off. I don't know how long that had been happening, but okay.
Yeah.
There was a drain that was backed up in one of the kennels.
Yeah, 2 of them were.
So there were puddles of water in the kennels.
So, and the dogs were on like a pretty major open feed, and several of the dogs were actually pretty
fat.
overweight. They were eating like it was like
nasty.
Just regular gross, big chunky dog food, but like the vats of food were probably like a 5-gallon bucket size of like dog food. They
were like hog feeders that you hang on the gate.
Yes, but filled with dog food.
Right.
Like you know that there's varmints that have been in and out of there.
I'm sure.
Disgusting. Yeah. But again, we have seen much worse, but it wasn't great.
No, and the condition of their coats, which is ironic to me because Sarah is a groomer. So
yeah, they were.
Explain that to me. Although if they had been broken up and she hadn't been out there, maybe whatever. It doesn't matter. But they needed groomed like ASAP.
Yeah. First of all of that stench from the building itself had soaked into their fur. Mm-hmm. One of the fosters had given like 4 baths or something, and she was like, I can't even stand to be around this dog yet because he smells so bad. And they were pretty matted. Most of them had to be shaved mostly down. We saved a couple coats that weren't too bad.
I think 2 of them we saved.
Yeah, and the one was because it was more of a golden retriever coat, so it didn't mat as much. But it had a bunch of hair that she combed about as much as the dog was big of hair out of that thing, out of this supposed doodle, you know?
Right.
But it was definitely quite the effort. So what we did is we went into the facility, and one at a time we figured out which dog was who. We had our little spreadsheet of who was going where, and systematically we took each dog out. Inside double leash,
collar, slip lead, and we microchipped them before
while we were
they even
inside
went
the
outside.
building.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we went out, 2 of us to 1 dog each one, took them to the vehicles, put them in the kennel, closed the vehicle up, went back at the other one. Yeah. So we did that one at a time with each dog and just were very methodical about it. And so it was nice that we had the time to be able to do that, and it wasn't such a rush of like chaos.
Yeah.
It felt pretty organized because we were ready for it. So that was nice. And then, yeah.
The adrenaline wasn't there on this one. We talked about that. It's like
I think it's because like we knew it was coming and
we'd been there and we knew what we were getting into, kind of thing.
And it kind of stinks because like we were told last time that we were taking the last of their
Yeah.
breeding stock.
So then we post something about it on Facebook, and I got a call, and there was a comment posted about posting his name, and posting the name of the breeder, and they're like, well, I'm just worried that people won't surrender their dogs in going forward because they're nervous about getting called out. And my response to that is, all of this is public information. You can look all of this up on their IDALS inspection report on Iowa Courts Online. You can see all of the filings, all of the charges, all of the sentencing.
And everybody freaking knows that Joel Paris has been charged for animal abuse and neglect, and that he had over 100 dogs on his property that were poorly cared for. This is public knowledge specifically in the state of Iowa, but even more specifically local to where
area.
We help dogs, right? So everybody freaking knew.
And
hilarious to me that anyone thought
that.
Every
news station from here to Timbuktu picked it up. And
every single news station.
They didn't do any follow-up investigation. They just reposted all the same shit that they talked about when the ARL took all those dogs.
Yep. So, not that we are in this for the clout, but last time we took 11 dogs, 0 news stories. This time we took actually the last of the dogs, and we were a big part of like why anyone was alerted to the fact that he had hiding dogs.
Yeah.
And no one asked us for a quote. No one asked us how it happened. No one wanted to know any of the true details or truth about what actually went down.
Here's the website.
Can we help promote these dogs to find them homes? None of it.
Or make donations here.
Only one. So all of this is happening, and all these news stories are getting pushed out. And I finally commented on one. And I was like, hey, how about you take a couple of minutes and just ask what actually happened here instead of literally pulling quotes from the ARL from a year and a half ago. Like, they weren't even about what was happening today.
Right now. Yeah.
So I'm like, we're happy to talk to you and like get you more information about where the dogs actually went, what actually happened. We have the 4 people that actually went on site and took these dogs right here. If you want to ask any of them questions about what happened when we went out there.
Yeah.
Nothing. Only one so I sent this message to several news outlets, but also individually to like the different anchors and stuff too.
Oh, yeah.
One of the anchors reached back out and she was like, hey, I pitched this story today. And this was yesterday. I pitched this story today. Like, is it okay if I share what you told me? And, are you available? I'm like, yeah, we're ready. Well, apparently they maybe lightly spoke on it because a few people said, hey, we heard the good coverage on the news and that Oh My Dog was mentioned and that was cool. But it wasn't.
I missed it.
It wasn't a full-fledged story because
nobody asked us.
But they didn't post it anywhere. Like, it just played on one airing of the news and it was like an aside. I even went back and watched like the 10 o'clock news. There was nothing about it then. So it happened on like the 6 o'clock, I guess, and I couldn't find any recording of it. But regardless, it's really disappointing, I think. Like, if we're trying to call out when things are not right and we're trying to make things better for dogs that are in facilities like this in the state of Iowa, and then we're not actually talking about what's really happening.
Or talking about the people that are actually doing it.
That's pretty crappy. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But whatever. The dogs are safe, and that's all we care about. But in the future, if these breeders knew that there's people that are fighting against them acting poorly towards these animals, maybe they'd think twice.
Yeah.
But instead, it's just glazed over. Yeah. It was a big deal that he went to prison. Like, that's a huge deal.
The whole thing about, not calling them out, it's like, no. I'm not. If you don't want to get called out for doing shitty things, don't do shitty things. Mm-hmm. That's the easiest way to make that happen. I'm not going to protect you. I'm not going to protect your name. I'm not going to protect your business. No, it's a 0 stars situation for me.
Yeah.
And on top of that, we're taking on all of the burden of you being a shitty person. So why would I help you out?
I don't know.
And you still owe me money from the last time we did this.
Yeah.
Like,
no.
Come on.
Also,
it's such to me, for somebody to say that, it's such a slap in the face to be like, you did a good thing, but
how dare you tell the public what actually happened?
What? I'm sorry. What?
We're not hiding anything. Yeah. Also, as someone who was once a journalism student, you're going to ask me not to wordsmith something that literally an animal abuser goes to jail and we take dogs out of cages? That is beautiful, and that creates a wonderful narrative.
Yeah.
it's a flip-flop and a mass justice happening. Like, come on.
Why
I gotta
wouldn't
say
you want
I gotta say
people
it.
to know about it.
Yeah, there's no way we're gonna just like glaze over that we just randomly got 9
Yeah.
doodles. No.
Well, I think promises were made
Not by us.
not by us, and that's not on us. So
Yeah, don't care.
anyway,
Yep. So,
not here for the drama. We're here to call it like it is, and that's the way it is. That's the way the cookie crumbles.
that's the way the doodle
That's the way.
dances. Yeah. So anyway, I am thrilled that we literally, it was pretty cool to be able to walk out of that facility, and there was like a gross little space heater in the corner. And when we took the last dog out of there, and I go, well, she don't need this anymore. And I unplugged it. So you're welcome. Your facility didn't burn down. I unplugged your stupid space heater. But
Yeah, the more you say it, say it like you did just now, that it's a really big deal. It really is a big deal.
it doesn't happen.
Yeah, you would. It's a win for the rescue community.
Yeah. The fact that this was not like, I mean, understanding that on the scale of everything that's happening in the world right now, it's not a huge story, but it's a really huge story for
It does seem-
something that people feel like care a lot about, and the thing that takes up a lot of our lives and the people who care about this mission. So
It feels really important to us.
so anyway,
Yeah. Of all the stupid shit that KCCI posts, like,
oh,
I feel like
Oh,
this is
so
kind of.
on the same news story where they were supposedly have mentioned us, one of their sections about that they actually did like a small news story about was the most popular dog names in the city of Urbandale. I'm like, you spent 10 minutes talking about the most popular dog names, but you couldn't talk about
Something that's
actually happening and is newsworthy because it would have required you to actually interview somebody. Weird.
It's all about the clickbait, man.
Yep, stupid. Which, by the way, most popular dog name for a female dog in the city of Urbandale is
Bella.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Is it?
Yep.
Gross.
Yep. Super gross. Second female was Lucy, but I don't remember the boys' names. Stupid.
Bella.
Bella.
Where does that even come from?
I don't know. Doesn't even make any sense.
All right.
Isn't that from that one vampire movie? Isn't Bella?
Is that a thing?
I think he just went ahead and told us that he's the same age as us because that's the only people that get that reference is when that movie was popular.
What
Freaking
movie
Twilight.
Is it? Oh, Twilight. I never
No,
saw it.
it's like, yeah, I don't know. Isabella.
Isn't
Bella.
is that a vampire thing?
Yeah, Twilight.
Are
Vampire.
They? Is
yeah.
it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't do that.
No, I don't do it. I don't do it either, but it became popular when we were like college age.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, are you team vampire or werewolf? I think you guys are werewolves.
Okay.
I think we're werewolves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So the other thing that was really cool that happened out of all of this, and we lightly alluded to why we were in that bar drinking those cocktails, was because a whole bunch of volunteers and two volunteer groomers all came together on one Sunday. Everybody brought their foster dogs, and we groomed all of these dogs, including Ernie.
Oh, I have to tell my joke.
Yeah, so she walks in. We're all in there, like, starting grooming, and she waltzes in,
I have an announcement.
and we all stop.
Everybody like stops. I'm like, how does it go?
You said it really confidently that day.
Well, I listened to it 8 million times before I got there to make sure I got it right.
Oh, my land.
It goes, when God made woman, he gave her not 2 breasts, but 3. When the middle one got in the way, God performed surgery. Woman stands before God with middle breast in hand, says, what do we do with the useless boob? And God created man.
That should have been filmed because she said that right at me.
Yeah, she did. She held the air boob right in his face. Oh my gosh. So anyway, we had fun while we're saving dogs, and we were cracking up. But yeah, we bathed and dried and brushed and shaved and clipped toenails and everything. And those two groomers, Bree and Heaven, are just machines.
Yeah, they just go after it. And there's
other
other volunteers there sweeping stuff up, and there's other volunteers
in the back
blow
bathing,
drying, and there's other volunteers bathing, and there's other volunteers bringing snacks. I mean, it was just like, I think you guys started at noon, and we were out of there at 3, or
like
a little before
3:30 or
3.
yeah, somewhere in there. It was awesome.
8 dogs
Yeah.
in 3 hours.
So freaking
total
cool.
shave down, total
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, including poor little Ernie, who took longer because he was so painful. But
Yeah. We had to take a breather for him.
Every time, so you talk about not having the, the kind of high of the rescue when we went out to do it. It didn't feel as exciting as when we like walked into the Knoxville 13 situation, right?
Yeah.
However, I felt the high of the community that we have created on that day when we did that grooming and had all of those people there that were all there because they're passionate about loving and saving these dogs. Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so cool.
It is so nice when we can all get together because 90% of our stuff is
And a lot of people say, like,
messenger.
How can I come volunteer? Well, we don't have a facility. So, the people who are with us all the time when we have things like that and we're able to actually hands-on work together and be with these dogs like that, it's really special.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very
it's
cool.
Fun to hang out.
It is. So, as we kind of mentioned, almost all of those doodles are adopted out, minus 2, which I think will probably be gone in the next week or so, I would imagine. They go really quickly. People like those doodly things. And he's done, and he's in prison, and I hope that we don't hear another word from him.
Yeah, so he has a 5-year sentence, but I have it on good authority that he'll be out in 8 months. So,
I mean, if nothing
we'll
else, that
stay
he
tuned
was
for that.
an example. Cool.
I'm not going to send him any mail.
I was going to say, should we send him a bill to prison for that money he owes us?
We should put the mail mafia on it.
Once a week, every week.
Send a letter
for however long he's there. You owe us $1,000. Oh, he was the same breeder who said, I want to do you a favor.
Did you know that all prison mail has to go to Las Vegas now? Instead of going to the actual penitentiary that the inmate is in, it gets sent to a processing facility in Las Vegas where they scan it, and then they send a scanned copy to the prison that they print out and then hand to... Tell me how that makes sense. They're claiming it's to thwart contraband.
Yeah.
That was my initial thought.
Yeah.
But
I'm like...
Can you only send, like, a letter to a prisoner? Or can you send, like, a care package?
No,
you
can't
send a cake, and then you could have whatever hidden in the cake.
I've seen that film.
It's gotten much more restrictive, and especially when COVID hit, it got even more so restrictive, which doesn't make sense to me, but that's fine. You can't even send postcards anymore.
It has to be
to be a paper in an envelope.
Oh.
And, yeah, it's really weird.
This is a real question. Are you a part of one of those
no
clubs
I have
where the ladies write into the guys in prison? Why do you know so much?
No. I have a friend in prison.
A friend, huh?
Cool. No. God. Anyway.
If you get to do a conjugal visit, though, and you don't tell me about it, I'm going to be pissed.
We're not doing that either. Jesus. Holy Christ. It's been a long time, but it hasn't been that long. God. Anyway, this wraps up our episode for this week, I think. Anything else for
Yeah, no, we've got a lot of carryover stuff that we're going to talk about next episode, but we really just wanted to give the lowdown of what actually happened out at the Paris Puppies Not So Paradise. So thanks for everyone who has shared our post, donated, continue to donate, because, again, $8,000 on a Mastiff, things are looking, we're fine, but we could replenish a little bit. That'd be great. Thanks for sticking with us and being a part of our community. Even if you're just a listener who shares about our mission, that means a lot to us.
Yep.
So,
we'll figure it out.
Oh my dog.
What I mean when I see, what I see, what I feel, when I dream, when I be, I'm a freak, what up? Oh, what up? Everybody look at me when I'm free, when I feel, what I see, when I do it, I'm a freak, what up? Oh, what up? Say what we got, it's hot to spot, give up the drop, see what we got, do what, we got to go, the body flow, too hot to show, the front row, we won't stop.